Yo, what's going on, boys? Your boy Scar, and welcome to week 12 of predictions. As you can see, I'm on the run, so I gotta make this quick. So let's get started. All right, for starters, we have John versus Keith. And I gotta be honest, guys, at the start of this week, I thought Keith had no shot. John's team is picking up steam, and I didn't think he had a shot, but I mean, right now it looks pretty good. Sorry, cop just passed by, so I had to kind of put the phone down. Honestly, guys, yeah, it's close. This league is getting very competitive. We've played each other for a long time. We're all pretty good at fantasy, and we know what, for the most part, what everyone is thinking. So I think this is one of those weeks where it's a toss-up. But because of John's history, I'll probably have to lean towards him. And by that I mean John. He's not a big agility guy. John starts off a bit slow, but once he gets going, he's moving. And I think his fantasy football history is a lot like that, in that he usually drafts a team, mostly Patriot players, kind of like this year. I think he has 4, including defense. But yeah, he does that, and we're all kind of like, okay, yeah, this team sucks, and it does suck in the beginning. But one of two things usually happens: either all of a sudden he gets really good, and then crashes in the playoffs, or he kind of just squeaks in to the playoffs before inevitably crashing and burning in the playoffs. So I think that's where he is right now. I think he's making his playoff push and will continue his run of mediocrity. So I give this one to John. Next, we have June versus Belby. Guys, I gotta be honest. About a month ago, I thought June thought his team was 1 or 2. I thought it was him and Brendan. But since then, he just picked up a bunch of guys that unless you are like a fan of the team or are in a 12 member plus fantasy league, you do not know who some of these guys are. I mean, he has some guy Jones Jr. on New Orleans, and then he has Cole Kmet. I don't know if you guys know what Cole Kmet looks like, but if he had one of those like Russian, Eastern European hats on, he would look like a Chechnyan arms dealer. I mean, the guy has third world white guy face. It's interesting. And then Belby, on the other hand, who you would imagine would lose, it actually looks pretty good this week. It looks like his team's coming together. I mean, not really coming together. Starting Hunter Renfrow every week is not a good look. But for this week, I think he'll be able to keep hope alive. So, fortunately for June, I give this one to Belby. Next, we have OC versus Dempsey. Dempsey, let's be honest, your team's a mess right now. You are going to make playoffs, and you could still make a splash, but right now it's ugly, dude. Aside from the fact that you're still not starting all of your guys and doing that stupid thing that Belby does. Speaking of which, I'm glad you snapped out of it, because no one was scouting your team. Your team is not good. So, and Dempsey's kind of entering that territory now where it's getting annoying. Dempsey, if you lose this week, I'm really gonna give it to you, because you're making my job harder, man. Me and Patrick, we're not happy. All right. But I'll try to entertain it and try to still give it an evaluation. But it's tough because all right, who do you have? Antonio Brown on the bench, hurt. AJ Brown, is he gonna play? I don't know. I hope so for your sake. And then you have D Hopkins, who's hurt, but also he's on bye this week anyway, so it doesn't matter. So yeah, I got to give this one to OC and the Noah fans. So good luck to you both. OC, just keep fighting, man. Keep fighting. You won last week and you're about to win another one, so good for you. Next, we have Brendan versus. Sorry, I'm about to park so I can kind of focus on this. We have Brendan versus Dugan. Guys, on paper, this does look like like Dugan is the underdog, and he is the underdog. Like his team, like Cam's, last 2 weeks, 11 and 26. His team is very up and down. It doesn't help that he has what's his name, DJ Moore on his lineup, who is honestly in fantasy football purgatory. Him and actually Bateman, who Blonsky has. And I say that's because they're both not quite entering heaven. they're great, but they're not in turn because of their quarterback play, because of the teams they're on. They remind me of, not in terms of ability, but in terms of just overall talent. They remind me of Roddy White. You guys remember Roddy White, the wide receiver, dreads, who played for Atlanta for years? He had a 77-ish rating on Madden for years, with a 90+ speed rating in terms of attributes, but specific attributes. But it was 77. Because he didn't get past it. Michael Vick, that was before Philly, before Andy Reid fixed him, and he was mostly running. Every once in a while would just show off that arm and throw a bomb downfield, but you couldn't see much of what he was. He just it was unfair. Obviously, this was before players could cry about trades, so he just put his head down and just took the paychecks. Good for him. But I say all that to say, as soon as Michael Vick was gone, Matt Schaub came through, Roddy White was like, oh, this guy's actually pretty good. And then fast forward, like, I think 2-3 years, 07, 08, Matty Ice shows up, and all of a sudden, boom, Roddy White is a top 5 wide receiver. He's not going to be a Hall of Famer, but for years he was legit a really good receiver, not a very good receiver who every team would have wanted. So I think that's their situation. I kind of harped on this, kind of along this kind of inside football, but I think they're very good. I think they're very good athletes. I think they're very good receivers, and they will have good games, but unfortunately they're tied down by their QBs. So for that, I will, give it to Brendan. And I don't expect this game to be close. The projections show that as well. Some notable things to watch, though. Boy Joey Mixon. Let's go Mix. And Odell. I think Odell watch is going to be huge this week, because this will decide if Brendan is legit the number one overall team or not, because he has the best. I mean, right now, according to our official scoreboard, who's number one. But looking down the line, I think if Odell is 85% of what we think he can be, then it'll be hard to not give a case to. It'll be hard not to make a case for Brendan. So, like I said, I'll give that to Brendan. Next, we have. What do we have next? I guess Nate versus Patrick. Guys, I mean, what can I say? Actually, surprisingly, another close one, but I don't know, man. Patrick is just, I think he has to bounce back this week. I think Josh Allen needs to bounce back this week. I mean, I don't know what the fuck happened to him, but I think it's unfair. It's unfair for Nate. He's had a lot of injuries. Although I will say, I did not like you this week bringing up the points against. I mean, yeah, 14, 15 is a lot. 16 more than Belby, but to be honest, your points scored 1185. That's only second lowest. That's second lowest to OC. So even if you played him each week, you still might not make playoffs. So stick to the God, the fantasy gods have fucked you. But as far as injuries, but I don't believe that scheduling was truly a factor for you. So, but it's might just be a one-off year. I do believe in you. You've been to the championship before. So I look forward to you eventually winning, taking us to Seattle, eat some bomb-ass Asian, Chinese, Mexican dishes. So, and obviously some coffee. So, love you, brother. Also, guys, give Patrick a shit for not starting defense. I know it's within the guidelines that he created, but I think it sets a bad precedent. Don't think it's a good display of leadership, in my opinion. And then last but not least, I didn't miss anybody, right? Like I said, who we start off with? We start off with John and Keith, Dempsey, Belby, Belby, June, Brendan and Dugan, Dempsey, OC, Patrick. Okay, yeah. So last but not least, your boy versus Bart. Guys, not gonna lie, doesn't look good this week. Doesn't look good. Not what I would have wanted on my Thanksgiving. Not what I would have wanted to look forward to on my Thanksgiving weekend. But I'll say this: my team, you guys know, has a lot of boom potential. We are, yes, without some starters, but that's fantasy football. It's no excuses. But I have guys that can go off. Yes, if I go through each individual matchup, you have to give it to my boy Bart. But sometimes the greats have to show up. You know, there are nights where it's just like, I don't care what the odds are, couldn't care less, win or win. You know, and that's where I am this weekend. I have to, sometimes you get called upon. There's that day when they say, hey, are you the man or are you the man? Right? And I think I'm gonna have to show you guys why I'm that motherfucking nigga. I mean, let's be honest, let's call spade for spade. I'm bigger than you guys. Physically, I'm a bigger human being. When we're all around together, I can't drink that much because I'm afraid I might step on you. You know, and malheureusement, that's French for unfortunately, for Brett, I'm going to get very drunk today and leave footprints all over him. That's what's going to happen. So, all right, guys, those are predictions. Happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully when I close this chat up and look at my score, I'm beating Brett. If not, I will be eventually. So have a good weekend, guys. Love you guys. Hope the family is good, and be safe this weekend. Peace.